Over. Okay, we're live. Hello, world. Let me take my glasses off. I look so much more attractive without them. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the AA Social Media Hangout Show with me, Ola Agbaimoni, and my lovely guest, Sarah. Oh, sorry, it's not Sarah. It's her better half, Kevin.
Wouldn't say that. Hi, everyone.
You can't say that because Sarah's somewhere looking and watching. She'd just clobber him. But he's still an A, so we are still the AA Social Media Show because we, isn't that good? We can have an arrow, a male or female arrow. My husband wouldn't do it. Well, although I must admit, I haven't asked him. He might. Anyway, our guest today is supposed to be live from Nigeria, but unfortunately, he can't use the Hangout application on his device, and so. Bidemi, I think that's his name, how he says it. If I said your name wrong, I do apologise. He's going to be talking to us on Twitter, or hopefully. So we're going to ask him questions on Twitter. He's going to reply, and we're going to relay them. This may not work, but we're going to try. So he runs a media and marketing agency in Nigeria, which I think is really cool. He's a young upstart, up-and-coming media agency focused on young people, and I thought it'd be really great to interview somebody else in an emerging market and just see how they're using social media and what benefit is for them and whether or not they have the same kind of access to us as we do. And that was going to be a really, really great interview. It would have been really fantastic, but we're just going to go with what is. So let's ask him a question. What should we ask him? So should we ask him, how is... See what he says to that. So,
what's the question?
I asked him, how is social media in Nigeria? I can't.
It's probably more efficient than the Google Hangout app.
He said, okay, that's excellent. I don't know if he's answering that question or the last one I asked him. It's like a Google chat. All right. What would you like to ask him? We're going live. Okay. No, I think he's a bit behind. So he has to, because he was just saying, okay, that's excellent. That was in answer to, we're going live and we'll tell everyone that we're tweeting your responses. But he hasn't caught up with us. So Kevin, in the meantime, we're gonna play a really interesting scenario out here. So we're going to have that conversation over here. Whenever that conversation is not running, we're going to come back over here and have this conversation here with me and you. So you're going to have to keep up, folks. We're going to have to keep, because there's a time delay. I used to work with a guy who answered, because we used to think he was crazy, but then we realised he was in some kind of time warp, and he'd answer 3 questions ago what you'd asked him. So that you might say, so how is the day? And you'd be on to, so is the project working? And he'd go, yeah, it's really sunny outside. And you think, what? And after a while you'd catch up, but it was actually 3 questions behind. And so, it made sense if you thought, oh yeah, that's the answer to that thing. But so this is going to be a bit like that.
And what type of institution was you working in?
No, this is in public sector. Although I must admit, he was one of the local residents.
I think you've just answered my question.
He wasn't one of the workers. He was one of the community. So he could have been anybody's community. He's got nothing to do with the public sector. It was a very fun.
Perhaps he should have got a job there. He might have done a better job than some of the public workers.
Oh no, he didn't. He didn't work for us. He was a very elderly gentleman. He's quite old. In fact, you know what? He died. I remember he died actually. Oh dear, yeah. But he was very old. He was like in his 80s. That's probably why he was like 2 questions behind. Yeah, and all of that has absolutely nothing whatsoever to do with social media. Don't see the answer to the question that I just typed to Bidemi, and so let me type it again. So let me tell. Where's it gone? What's it done? Hang on.
I can hear you bleeping.
Yeah, no, that's your wife.
Oh, is it? What's she asking?
No, she just posted something on Facebook, and my thing's notifying me. She's just like Wayne Collier's photograph.
Oh, okay.
Do you know what? I turned that sound off the other day. I don't know why it returned itself back on. Yeah. Talking of which, let's have a conversation about Facebook, because Facebook, for all these social media people who were worried about Facebook, I'm sure that you're sitting there thinking, well, actually, Facebook seems to be going down this line of really invading our privacy. And if we were AA social media, we want to abstain from it, you know, they're not doing anything to actually encourage me to be on it and feel more relaxed. Because I know a lot of people I speak to, a lot of businesses I speak to, see Facebook as a real invasion of privacy. And I think that's the older generation, because we didn't grow up with our lives on public view. You know, if you're as old as me, and I must admit I am old. It's my birthday in 2 weeks' time. Put that in.
Hey.
Yeah, happy birthday to me. Guess how old I am, no doubt. Anyway,
35.
Thank you, honey. As I say, we didn't grow up in the public view. Do find social media quite intrusive. But what I will say is, however intrusive you think Facebook is, you have control, because you can actually set all the settings. And one thing I will give Facebook is that they are now sending out a lot more information to people, explaining how you can control who sees what of your information. So that's one set of people. Obviously, Facebook will see all of it, and there's legislation that governs what they do with it, and how invasive they can be with your information. So there are controls. So if you find that everything you're posting on Facebook is going to the wrong people, what you need to do is go into your settings and look at what you've set your privacy to. And indeed, now you can set everything that you post to different settings. So if you are using one account for both your business and your personal life, you can make some posts public, and then you can make other posts that you just share with other people. Although I would recommend that you should have a business profile page as well. Hang on a minute, I'm just going back over to this conversation to see what he said. So Kevin, have you got anything to add to that while I try and read what this person's telling me?
I think the thing is with Facebook, and it's like a lot of the platforms, people misunderstand their purpose for business.
Mm-hmm.
And as we all know, not every platform is great for every business. Mm-hmm. And I think people get led down the path of, yeah, let's set up a Facebook business page because we can and because it's free. But actually, really, their market isn't on there anyway, so it doesn't really matter what they do. They're never going to gain any traction from it.
That's quite interesting. I'd like to know somebody's market who's not on Facebook. So unless you're running some kind of old people's home and you're marketing to old people, who would you suggest is not on Facebook?
Well, I think there's another. You've put me on the spot now, and I'm trying to think.
So
I think
never do that.
No.
Sorry.
I think that okay, let's look at it from a different example. So if you were selling, and actually I know people that do this. So I know somebody that's got an online shop and they sell clothes. Okay. Mm-hmm. So they do a huge amount of trade through Facebook, and that works really well for them. I know Eunice, who you may have met, I think she's been a guest on the show. She sells chocolates, handmade chocolates, to both businesses and individuals. She does really well on there. Mm-hmm. The transport business I used to own did phenomenally badly on there. Okay, because it was aimed at organisations that weren't really scouting around looking on Facebook, so that didn't work at all. So you know, and we spent 4 years plus trying to build that on Facebook, and it didn't work. Yet we come on as doing what we do now, and we get a lot of traction from it, and we get business from it. So the way we approached it was the same, our knowledge was the same, different results because they're different businesses. So I think there are ones, you know, and I think it's more business to business that will suffer. If your business is a normal consumer and it's a product that you would buy and you'd go and search for on eBay or down the local high street or whatever, I think you're much more likely to be successful. I think for instance, if you had a telecoms company that was only focused on dealing with business, I think you'd do quite poorly on there.
I think in some respects you're right, because obviously if people are business to business, then there are other platforms like LinkedIn that are more appropriate. Mm-hmm. However, what I say to people is that businesses aren't run by autonomous systems. They're not run by robots. They're run by human beings. And the whole point of social media is to engage with people. It's not necessarily to sell things, and you can make connections and friends anywhere. So it might not be your primary way that you engage with people, but you can find your audience more or less anywhere, because they are people. People who have telecoms also have social lives. And I think where people make the mistake of social media is that they try and spend most of their time with a business message, as opposed to a larger percentage of their time with building rapport and friendship with people. And I suppose if you're on LinkedIn, people expect you just to, kind of be more business focused, so they don't mind you talking about business. But on Facebook, they don't. They expect you to be engaging. So if you can build up interest in what you're interested in, because other people in your business will be interested in that, and then get them off your platform if they're interested in your business, to your business where you can talk to them about business. So, for example, in the transport trade, it might have been that people who use couriers were also, just interested in food, or just life in general, or just interest in pictures, and they would be engaged. You wouldn't necessarily know. So what I always say about Facebook is, it's not so much about trying to make sales, but trying to build linkages. And if you approach it that way, to say I'm actually looking for connections, you tend to be more successful, because it's not if you're going to be on it anyway, you will find people who can connect with you. Yes, you could pay for advertising if you really know your audience is there, but if you're not, if you're just looking for people generally, you can make connections on Facebook in the same way you can make connections anywhere. So, I'm in two minds to say that it's totally hopeless. But if you're going to be there talking to people, try and make friends, because it's friends that make business deals, not promotions. Most people won't do a business with you unless they know and like and trust you anyway. And if you find a way of getting into their friendship group because they know, like, and trust you on Facebook, it's more likely that they either will do business with you or refer you to somebody that they know who wants your business. And so there's the other thing, that whole thing about 6 degrees of separation, about being connected to lots of people. Okay, Kevin.
I think the interesting thing, I just want to go back onto that one again. What's interesting about that is that the Facebook business page was unsuccessful, yet our personal stuff, where we did make those connections, wasn't. Exactly. That was really quite successful. So I think my angle I'm coming at this from was coming at it from a business page perspective. There are some businesses it won't work for. Coming from it from an individual to individual basis, it probably will at some point.
Oh, absolutely, because when you're yourself on the platform, people want to talk to you because you're the person. You're sharing interesting stuff, and they want to talk to you. And I think business pages aren't what they used to be anyway, because of the way in which Facebook restricts who sees your posts. And so there's a lot more about being more professional and having to pay for the advertising that you get on if you want a lot of people to see what you have. But I think you're absolutely right. I see the stuff that you post, and you do get a lot of engagement as individuals because it's fun, it's interesting. That's what people are on Facebook to do, is have fun, be interested, and they're there a long time. So if you get to people's attention because they're there a long time, you can really leverage that. But you have to be a person first. No one gets any engagement if all they're doing is saying constantly, come to my business and buy something. I think if you're selling things, like you said, if you've got visual, pretty things that you can sell, then yeah, people can click on them. It's like Pinterest. It's a very platform. You'll do well. But if you're selling a service, no one's interested in your service on Facebook at all. They're interested in you. And if you're a nice person, they'll want to get to know you. And then maybe at some point you can get to a position where you can do business with them. It's like networking. I know you used to be a great networker.
Is our man come back on Twitter yet?
He did. He came back a while ago. I was just trying to think what he said. Hang on a minute. He said, I've got to find the conversation. He said, right, so I asked him, what is social media like in Nigeria? He said, social media has been accepted nearly by all businesses, both startups and existing in Nigeria, due to its wide reach. And for his company is a for-profit social enterprise and an enterprise support firm with a vision to help entrepreneurs succeed. Okay. Our company most recently embarked on business finance project and is working with finance houses to achieve this. Hang on. Social media as a marketing tool isn't very effective. It's still evolving as most businesses are tied 2D strings of the CEO. I don't know what that meant. I tried. Tried 2D strings of the CEO. I'm not quite sure what the last comment meant, but yeah. So, did you get all of that?
It did phenomenally well. I mean, does Nigeria allow you to have more than 140 characters?
No, that was like 6 different posts. I read them one after the other.
I'm joking.
Oh, thanks for that. Sounds.
So in effect, what he's saying is that social media has been embraced, but for business, it's not quite there yet. That's the crux of it.
Yeah, so I said, what kind of marketing activity do you do to reach your customers? There you go. I think that's it. So yeah, absolutely, yeah. And also, I think part of the problem is what we experience today, that a lot of people in Nigeria use social media, use the internet via their mobile phones, and so obviously they're not going to have access to the apps and the well, maybe the apps, but some of the bandwidth and the things that we can do here if you're doing it on a tablet. Sorry, not tablet, on a computer or even a tablet. And if they haven't got Google Hangouts, that's limited them already. I wonder if it's just him who hasn't got Google Hangouts, or nobody hasn't got it. Google, you can't do Hangouts in Nigeria. Hang on a minute, where are we with the conversation? Hang on, yeah, so, right.
Hang on, I've just got Google ringing me up. I think they want to talk to me about that.
Oh, really? Oh, that's good. Can you tell them that we've got a lot of complaints? No, don't. They'll just kick me off the internet, won't they?
Probably sandbox everything you ever do online, so you'll be just ruined.
I'm invisible. We love you, oh great one. King. So let's just see what oh, you've gone. Or have I gone? Oh, look, they've taken us already. I was pulsating. Oh, hang on. We've got an answer. It said, for small businesses, especially, social media only gives your brand publicity depending on number of followers, but low patronage. Oh, right. It's like us, like you were saying. Oh, yeah. Okay. Right. Let's see. Reply to that. I should be retweeting these things. It's quite difficult to do both things at the same time, really.
Yes, I would imagine.
Yeah. Hang on a minute.
Well, perhaps we can, in a couple of weeks, get him back on as a guest, where we get him as a live guest, if we can work out his technical problems.
Well, absolutely, or maybe do a recording with him. I wasn't sure what we could actually record with and then send the program out. But it would be really interesting to have a better voice in the market in Nigeria, and what sort of things people are using social media for, what sort of tools they have access to. That would be a really interesting conversation, which is a shame we can't have today. Okay. Is there anything else you would like me to ask him specifically that is easy to have a 140-character conversation about?
I'd be quite interested to know whether the use of social media over there has closened the communities.
What do you mean?
Has made the communities in Nigeria closer.
Okay. Has used social media in Nigeria. Assuming that they weren't close in the first place, what do you mean by that?
Well, it's in a lot of the African type countries. They can be quite isolated and disjointed, and it just interests me to know whether that's made them as a country more communicative.
Oh, okay. So does it get to remote areas? Yeah.
Yeah, that's where I'm going from. Yeah.
Well, I remember when I was in Tunisia. This was I had a free phone then. You know the number 3, and I used to have really, really bad signal in the UK because they were just a new network and there weren't many towers. I go all the way to Tunisia, and I have solid signal, and we go into the mountains to where the Bedouins are, and like just in the middle of nowhere, it's just pure rock desert and These people live in a cave. Had a satellite TV dish and Sky, and the strongest signal ever. It was just hilarious. So yeah, I suspect that they do have it over there.
Yeah, in South London it don't work.
No, it worked. It worked very well. But Bobby, he's in town. It's probably like here. You know, you go into central London, you've got no signal, and you just like drive to the Lake District. It's like in the middle of nowhere, and it's really solid. You think, what's that about? I don't know. So, but yeah. So maybe it's just like that. Yeah. So he's not come back on that. Hang on, he might have come back now. Okay, so that must be the answer to the other question. Hang on. So I asked him, what sort of marketing activity do you do with social media, and how do you reach your customers? And he said, I do mostly referrals and hire part-time marketing partners who secure clients for me for a certain percentage of the deal. Okay, so not really more referral marketing as opposed to social media for their company. Right. Okay, what's the time? Oh, we're almost coming.
25 past.
25 past. So let me say to him that what we'll do, what you suggested is. Thanks. Hang on a minute. Talk while I'm doing this. Say something. Do a soliloquy or a monologue. Imagine you're younger.
No, we're going to just sit you here in deathly silence and watch you type now.
No,
just for the fun of it. And then we can work out which way your earrings are going to be swinging, depending on which way you type. Because sometimes they're going round in circles, and sometimes the left one is going to the right, and the right one's going to the left.
Until you said that, I didn't even notice. They're quite annoying, aren't they? Next time. So.
Perhaps you should wear some flashing lights on them or something, some disco lights.
Yeah. So I can't type without my glasses, you know. So. Well,
we don't need to talk to him now anyway, so we can follow that up after, can't we?
No, I was just saying to thanks for being so patient, and we.
So who's your guest for next week? Have you got one set up?
Not yet. No, I think you're going to find someone next week because I don't think I'm going to be here. I've got another engagement next week, unless we do it earlier. So we can do it earlier in the day, and so let's do it earlier next week, and let's We'll test out the broadband connection. Actually, do you know what? We won't, because even when we've tested it and we've come online, it doesn't work. It is very random.
Well, especially not when you slag off Google as well. I think they've put a bug in the system there.
No, it's probably not even Google at all. It's just probably the bandwidth and the weather, because it's got quite cloudy. Somebody told me when it's cloudy the broadband doesn't work. I don't believe that.
Oh, we lose it big time. As soon as the first spot of rain hits the ground, our broadband's out the window.
Really?
We lose Sky. We lose Sky. We lose all of our broadband. We lose everything.
It's a
disaster.
Is that because you haven't got a waterproof roof?
It could be anything. I really don't know. But you can almost judge it to the second as to when it's going to stop working.
Oh,
it's
wow.
really quite frustrating. Yeah.
Do you know what's really scary about that? Is that we're also very reliant on broadband technology connection for a lot of people's business. And I often ask this question: if the internet went down tomorrow, what would you do? So I think part of the thing that as business owners we need to think about is what's our alternative. Because you can be without any time, and do you have an emergency disaster plan of how you would recover if suddenly you are completely disconnected? I suppose we'd have to all go back to kitchen businesses and making cakes for the neighbours.
Oh, I don't know about that.
I was just joking.
Okay. Well, so I'll sort out a real kicking live guest for next week.
Yeah, you do that. Somebody who's yes. We didn't have any questions posted on the website, but if you do have a question for us, I'm not talking about you. I'm talking to the audience.
I've got a question.
What's your question, Kevin? What is your question?
No, I haven't got a question. I was just saying, just to see if you was listening.
Okay. If by any chance you have a question around your use of social media as a small business, or anything to do with marketing, or anything to do with anything, because we're here as your Agni aunts to help you through those moments where you feel there's no one else to turn to. So if you have any form of question, do get in touch with us. You can email even me or Sarah or even Kevin on our websites, because Sarah and Kevin have the same website and the same email address. So sarkimedia.com or me at elanmedia.com. And with your questions, if you go on the website and you look for the AA Social Media Abstinence Show on either platform, you will see a form where you can put in a question and we will attempt to answer it direct online. I'm just noticing that I'm looking over there and the camera's there, isn't it?
Yeah. I think he was just showing off the swinging earrings, but you know.
Yeah, I was looking the wrong way. So yeah, so we'll be back next week. Sorry we weren't able to talk to our guest in Nigeria, and we're going to get him back, as Kevin said. We're going to get him back. We're going to get either as a recording so we have a really live conversation, or we'll sort Google out so he can actually be live on air with us. So have a great week. Enjoy the bank holiday. I understand the weather's going to be fine if you're in the UK. If you're not in the UK, you don't have a bank holiday. No, we do. I will see you next Friday, maybe at an earlier time. Watch out for the announcements. Take care. Bye.
See ya.
Bye.
Bye.
That's better.